Hey, and welcome to my new video. As you can see, today we talk about my Gorillaz Fanart scene here, which I made. I got asked a lot how I made it, so I thought it's the best time to do a new breakdown video. Yeah, so let's start. Let's start with the foundation, because everything was started out of the idea of that. So I was lying in my bed and thought, hey, why not flip around these Quixel rocks to create some levitating rock islands. that's how the scene was starting. Yeah, really. I just imported the rocks from the Megascan library, put it in here, and deform it with the soft selection. The soft selection is a really handy tool. I use it a lot. You can you can press the B button on your keyboard to enter the soft selection mode. Here, as you can see, it automatically starts. With a B pressed and your middle mouse drag to left and right, you can size up your brush in which area you want the soft selection. This way you can select some vertices and move it with a soft fall off to your taste. But keep attention, as you can see, it produces some stretching textures. If you don't UV map it again, you have to deal with that. So in my case, everything was okay because, yeah, you will see it this size, and here is anyway in the shadow area, so you can see it. And I added also a few extra rocks with the right dimensions to break it up a bit and yeah, give some extra touches on the areas I needed it. Yeah, as you can see, they are just clipping into each other. This is absolutely fine. Yeah, here you can see some repetition. That's not good work here, so let's rotate it a bit. Yeah. It's better. Okay. Yeah, this was for the ground here. It's really simple, as you can see. Just add it in and you have it. Here for the top part, it's just a simple plane which I fitted to the ground shape of the rock, and also here with the soft selection you can add these little bumps. You can also sculpt it if you want, but this was totally fine just with the soft selection. After that, to a subdivision, so it smooths out all the stuff and you have a nice looking ground with the unevenness as it is in the real world. Let's go back. Here on the edges you can see I have some clipping errors or some ugly edges. So on this way it was okay, but to break it up a bit more, I added a cool little setup here. Let's unhide it. Come on. Yeah. Out of my ground plane on top here, I extracted a spline. That's this one here. That's just from the outer edges extracted. I feeded it into a mesh network and scattered some rock assets. The cool thing about that is I can go here and say, yeah, rotate it a bit more this way or rotate it here. I want to offset on the Z-axis. Now it's drift away, or on the Y-axis. You can animate this as well. That's a cool little thing. You can do a lot of cool stuff here. So this was my way to go for this random placing rock formations around the edges. I was too lazy to place it by hand, so I thought I will have it a bit more procedural, or a bit smarter if you want to call it this way. Yeah, the grass is made exactly the same. For this base grass here, I use it which mode I use it at Placer. I painted it. You can also use the mesh, the ground mesh, or yeah, mesh scattering method. You pipe in the mesh and say, hey, scatter stuff on it. Do a bit of randomness, and you have it. As a general tip, if you are doing some stuff or some environments with grass fields, just add base grass with a bit of variation on the asset. So let's call 3 assets or 5, whatever. Scatter it as a ground, and on top of this, scatter with a second scatter rig, scatter setup, whatever. Scatter different grass types on different spots. This way you can break up the generic looking or the generated looking feeling, because if you're looking into the nature, you can see there are not growing the same plants everywhere. So there are spots where grow just these plants or more of these plants. Here, as you can see in front of my windmill, I added some higher grass, or here under the trees, or here in this spot as well. So just break up a bit the pattern for a bit more of the realism. Yeah, nothing magic, just open your eyes, have a look on the reality, what the reality is doing, that it looks real. Yeah. I also placed a few ones here by hand. I think, yeah, by hand, just to break also up a bit the generic looking scatter feeling. Because yeah, it's placed by 0 and 1s here in the code, and you have to break up this generic looking, computer generated looking stuff by imperfections and some randomness. That's what I tried to say here. Yeah, here I have some trees. Let's enable here the texture mode. We don't need the instances here. Let's hide it. It's a bit easier for you to see. Yeah, we can also hide this one here. Here you can see the trees are a bit in a different angle. I did this because I tried to achieve a bit of a cartoony feeling or stylized feeling. In nature, the trees will grow up straight to the sun. Okay, maybe so if the ground erodes a bit or something happens to the ground, they will stick a bit out of their normal growing angle, but on top they will grow again to the sun. But to have a bit this cartoony looking feeling, I tried to bring in some unevenness. So as you can see it here on the wooden fences, just rotate the stuff a bit, do it a bit, yeah, cartoonier. I don't know how to say, so check references. Yeah, out of proportion stuff is a really good thing. If you know some World of Warcraft, you can see this very heavy armory. No one can wear such a armory, but it looks really cool with this out of proportion stuff. But you need to have an eye on it, where you can put out of the proportion and how it goes back into your general proportion. I think that's the tricky part on some stylized stuff, to break the rules of the nature, but in the end you need a believable asset or a believable scene. Yeah, as you can see, I added also a bit of extra details in the render. You feel it more as you can see it, but on some areas you will see these extra details and they will give the liveness, or is liveness an English word? Or yeah, I think you know what I tried to say here. And here I added this Ruston oil barrels, also from the Quixel Megascan library. I thought they will fit very well into my world here, because the Gorillaz world, especially on the Feel Good Inc. music video, it's this. You have on the one side this dirty tower where no lights in, and yeah, very dirty feeling. But on the other hand, you have this nice sunset or sun over the clouds and this floating, flying island here with the nice windmill and noodle. How what the name? Noodle. Call it noodle. Yeah. Yeah, that's really the name of this little girl sitting here in front and playing a nice guitar. Yeah, let's move on. Sorry for the long. Let's move on. Here I did a very basic UV editing, just laid out. Normally you want to have it straight normalized, but I thought I can live with that little round circle here. Not circle, with a little round angle. I don't know. Do you know that English is not my native language? I hope you will be fair with me. I hope you will get what I tried to show you here. Yeah, I exported here my UV shell. Just selected. Oh, my soft selection is still enabled. Selected. Exported here to your desktop or projects directory where we want to have it. Export it and you have it as a snapshot. I imported it into Photoshop and painted there my texture. Here I was able to see where the windows are, painted in some leakings. I just painted the color map because I did all the supporting edge, not supporting edge, the supporting map magic direct in my shader. I will show you that in a second. Yeah, this one was just automatic unmapped. Yeah, you can see it. It won't win an Oscar or something like that, but it was doing the job. So if you render it, have some volumetric stuff going on with this angle, you can tell it's you remapped this way. Yeah, okay, let's move on into the shader magic. Where is my main shader for the windmill? Here is it. Graph network. Here is it. Just pipe in the color texture. As you can see, I was working here in ACES, so I had to convert it first with Nuke to bring it into the ACES color space. Redshift is still not in Redshift is it still not possible to do the conversion while rendering, sadly. I hope they will do it soon, because yeah, ACES is cool. I often work in ACES, so I have to convert all the textures first before I load it in. If you're working in Arnold, you can do it on the fly, or while it takes generation, you can convert it there. As you can see here, my color textures goes into the bump and do the bump magic. Here it goes in my color correction node. I turned down the saturation because the roughness needs a 0 to 1 black and white value. Here a color correction for my diffuse color to fit it a bit more into my scene. It goes into a mix because I added on top a bit of... What? I hate it. Why is it so big? I added a bit of some dirt. Just a really basic material here to bring in some bit more darker areas. Nothing really special here with curvature. Curvature node, ramp to adjust. Just a black and white value, color correct to a layer. And with a fractal noise, I get some nice spots. Color correct it again and feed it into the master slot. I think this is the most complicated shading network here, so as you can see it's not really complicated, all the rest is really basic. Just feed in the textures with color correction nodes, color corrected a bit, that it fits the scene, and that's the magic behind. Yeah, let's move further. Here the lighting, as you can see, that's the super advanced lighting you ever saw in a video tutorial, or how you want to call it. It's just an HDR. So here in my HDR, just enabled the volume contribution because I have some VDBs in, added a bit of gamma to a bit brighter spots, Here I have my HDR pre-converted into ASAS, also with Nuke, and call it a day. Okay, let's come to the clouds here. Enable it. Bam. Here we are. The clouds are simple VDBs which are loaded in here into the Redshift volume shape. You can get it here under Redshift volume, create a Redshift volume shape with material, and you have to tweak the material. That's it. So place it until it looks cool. Go into your camera, place it, and that's all what I did. The sky which you can, or which you saw in my final video, was just painted in Photoshop on a plate and laid behind the clouds. Yeah, let's talk about rendering. I think that's the most boring part here in the video because it's super simple. Just full HD on the output. Default here, just enable the Mitchell filtering because it gives a bit more sharper results, but you have to deal with some aliased or no aliased edges, so you can see this stairs. For still, it's just fine with a bit more sharper results. But if you are doing some animations, I prefer to do it with Gaussian. It's soften a bit the edges or all the image itself. In general, it softens a bit. Default here is 4. Yeah. GI brute force because Redshift is really fast and nice with GI, so put it onto brute force and enjoy the brute forciness GI. Yeah, that's the exact word for it, the brute forciness. System here on the experimental enable the automatic sampling. I always do that when I start a project because I don't want to deal with all this optimization stuff while doing some preview renderings. Normally I switch back when it comes to the final rendering to the regular sampling options here, do my overrides, optimize the scene. But here I was lazy, I just enabled the automatic, hit render, enjoy it. Yeah, is something missing here? No, I think that's all. I will show you the PSD, but that's the second time now. I think my Photoshop is broken, so it killed my PSD. So it's no longer existing. It's no longer here. I just have the PNG, which you saw on social media. But there is not really that big magic what's going on. Just bring in all the elements, tweak it, the black and white point of the photo sky here, let it fit with the rendered element, and start with color correcting. So first I always start with bring in a bit contrast, a bit more highlights, then I move over to the color stuff to bring in a color in the shadow area, in the mid-tone parts and in the high tones. Then I like to use a lot to glue everything a bit together, merge everything a bit together, blend it in with the opacity slider, and on top do a little bit more color correction and color saturation. And most of the time I paint my own vignette with a soft dark brush on the edges, add a bit of a gloomy feeling with a second white soft brush and some areas to give more this dreamy looking feeling. Sharpen the image. Yeah, I love sharp images. I don't know why, because yeah, it gives some nice little details. So yeah, sometimes I overdo it a bit, I think, but yeah, maybe it's just a phase here in my life where I overdo it with sharpening. First it was the overdoing of saturation, now it's overdoing in sharpening. What's next? Overdoing in resolution, render it in 16K, I don't know. Let's see where this journey ends. So I hope this video was cool for you, that you know or understand what I try to say here. Sorry for my English. I always say the grammar I learned by Meister Yoda I have. I think that answered this question, why my grammar is so horrible. But I hope this was helpful to you. And yeah, wish you a nice day. Bye bye.